All right, it's going to get really clickety-clackety here. We're doing a smaller deep dive into a brand with 26 fragrances in the collection, and we're talking about the house of Montale. Originally, I was going to combine Montale and Mancera together. I felt like, you know what, I just need to separate them because even though they're sister houses, they're separate brands. And today we're doing Montale, a shorter video, but a deep dive of the brand of many fragrances throughout the years. This brand has so many fragrances, you just can't keep up with everything. If you've ever been to one of their stores, I've been to one in Milan. I've actually been to a Mancera store or boutique in Dubai. And then, of course, Montale and Mancera together in Paris. Man, there's just so many fragrances in those stores, you just can't keep up. Like, there's just way too many fragrances. And even though 27 or 26 fragrances is not that many, it's still a lot. I'm going to go over the fragrances. Some I don't like as much as others, and you're going to find out what they are. This is Montale, but before I get started, if this is the first time you're tuning into the channel, please click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on the videos. Also click the bell icon. And please give a thumbs up for this video just to help with the algorithm. So do let me know, do you have a favorite Montale fragrance? And if you do, what is it? If this is the first time you're hearing about it, you're probably new to the world of niche perfumery. This is a house that I discovered early on in my journey in this world of perfumes. The first fragrance I ever bought from this house, where is it? Is this BOISE Vanille. I still have my OG bottle. This was 2013 or 2012, somewhere around there. The second bottle I bought, I got rid of because I despised the smell. I've kind of slowly enjoyed it, but it was the chocolate greedy. Is that what it's called? Choco greedy or chocolate greedy? That actually turned me off of enjoying chocolate fragrances. There was something really stale bread smelling. It was almost like, you know, putting Nutella on stale bread. It just was a weird fragrance. I've kind of started slowly enjoying it, and I enjoy chocolate fragrances now, but that one's a challenging one for me for some reason. But there's a lot of fragrances here. I think the one fragrance that I really fell in love with the brand or made me fall in love with the brand is one of my favorites still. It's Intense Café. I think it was it's still an awesome release, and I think brands have copied that fragrance. In fact, Mancera has something similar called Roses Vanille. But you might see some overlap between the two brands. Although lately I feel like Mancera is a bit more interesting. I think the brand is actually doing very interesting things. And also, before I get started with the fragrances, as of last year, Sephora is selling Montale fragrances. I'm not sure if they're selling Mancera. I know they're selling Montale. You can find Montale at ZGO Perfumery here in the city. I think you can also find it at Ministry of Scent. And now Neiman Marcus has it. And of course, they sell it at Sephora as well. So the brand's getting around, and they carry small sizes. I think they have 20 ml bottles, and of course the 100 ml bottles. They're also not as expensive as other niche houses. And there's a lot of fragrances, so much variety. It's hard to keep up with this brand. So if you have any questions or comments, do let us know. Add a comment below. Let me know what kind of a video you want me to do in the future. I should be back by the time this video airs, or on my way back for the next deep dive. Promise to do a longer one in the next deep dive. But if you have any ideas of a theme, just add a comment below. All right, so let's get started. The first fragrance, we're starting off with a dud. This is Arabians. So Montale launched this Arabians collection with Arabians, and I just didn't care for this fragrance whatsoever. I think it's a spicy, leathery oud thing. I mean, it's got a very Middle Eastern vibe. Lots of cardamom I'm smelling in this, or something similar. Quite spicy. It's really deep and rich, intense. I feel like there's cypriol in here or something like that. Then there's a lot of leather and patchouli. Maybe patchouli as well. And I feel like there's a little rose in here as well, but it is quite oudy. I wouldn't call this a bad fragrance. It's just not a fragrance that I enjoyed as much as I enjoy the flanker of this. That kind of made it very popular. I think it's one of the most popular fragrances from this house. This is Arabians Tonka. And they're so different fragrances. For me, Arabians Tonka launched in Whoa. That thing is falling. Arabians Tonka launched in 2019. 2017 was the OG Arabians. Arabians Tonka also had some things in there that had similarities to other fragrances. But what I like about Arabians Tonka is there's a sugar crystals effect in here. There's a slight chocolatey, caramelly praline thing. Then there's the whole Baccarat Rouge vibe thing in here as well, which I'm assuming it's ambroxan. And this one garners compliments as well. It's got a super sexiness. It's a bit sweet, but not extremely sweet. There's a lot of amber woods under there, of course, ambroxany thing. And it has great projection, great sillage, and really a long-lasting fragrance. I really like this one quite a bit, but there's a lot of fragrances that are out there like that. To me, it smells like candy and sexy musk together. But it's candy that's not uber sweet, but it's still sweet. There's sweetness here, but really awesomely made. I love that one. And there's a lot of fragrances out there that do have similar smells. I feel like Montale sometimes takes elements of their other fragrances and puts them together. I feel like Montale fragrances are, I don't know, this is my opinion, and I don't know if it's true or not, but they have all these like part-way finished fragrances, and then like they might have a base ready, they might have a top ready, they might have a heart ready, and then they make something original either for the, if they're putting in the base for the top and the heart, or they're combining a pre-made top and a base, and they put something new for the heart. I don't know. This is how it feels like, because a lot of them have they're overlap. There's a lot of overlap between the fragrances, and I smell something, and I smell it, and I smell it in another fragrance as well. So I feel like that's the way they do their fragrances. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys or not, but I feel like they have pre-made formulas or pre-made bases or tops or hearts, and they're taking and combining it with no other notes and making a new fragrance. I don't know if that's the case, but they have so many fragrances and they create them so fast. They launch like 4, 5, 6, 7 fragrances a year. So they must have these all ready to go. But do you guys smell overlap in a lot of these fragrances? Do let me know. Add a comment below. Let's go to the next one. It's another fragrance in the Arabian series. It's a fairly new one. It's Arabians Musk. So this is not reminding me of Arabians or Arabians Tonka. This is reminding me of something new. And it also doesn't smell too much like something I've smelled from Montale, but it smells like baby powder. That's what it smells like. To me, it's a very powdery fragrance, super intense with the powderiness. There is some slight rosy undertones there. You might think this is maybe something or has similarities to Teint de Neige from Lorenzo Villoresi. Maybe something like, what's the fragrance from Nichane that Cécile created? Not Ani, but the other one that's powdery. It has similarities to that a little bit. Less patchouli. This one has less patchouli. That has a lot of patchouli. In that ballpark. But it smells like baby powder with a slight Middle Eastern twist, if that makes sense. I actually like it. It's super potent. Really, really potent. You don't need a lot of sprays of this one. Arabians Musk. Let me know. As you can see, I'm choking up a little bit because it's so strong. Next, we've got Oud Lavender. I thought this mix wouldn't work, but it works. And lavender is a really great note, by the way. I really love lavender. In fact, I love the herb. I love the herb. It's a great herb when you run across it. You pick a few of its flowers and, you smell it. And once you touch it, your hands are all lavendery. It's a great, great present to us from the gods. I absolutely love the smell and fragrances. This one does have a little bit of a fougere vibe, but there's always that kind of Montale Oud, which this is lavender oud. So they use their trademark oud in this, and you can kind of smell it under there. It's a bit oudy, a bit musty, and earthy, a bit damp and moldy, connected to the aromatic touches of the lavender in here. So again, as I said, I thought this wouldn't work, but it works quite well. Aoud Lavender, let me know if you're a fan of it. I didn't double check to make sure these are all selling, unfortunately, the theme of these videos, I'm doing these for everything that I have available from a brand. You'll have to check. I know at one time this was gone missing, but I believe it's back. This is VETIVER Patchouli, which is the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about today. But yeah, the lavender oud is great. If you like fragrances like Tom Ford's Beau de Jour with an oudy Montale Middle Eastern twist, that one definitely should work. Yeah, the Beau de Jour I think is discontinued. If you guys were in the market for that, check for that. But also something like Caram pour un homme de Caron, if you like that lavender in that fragrance, this lavender oud should work. Again, it doesn't sound like it's going to work, but it does work. It's strange. So we've got another fragrance that I'm not the biggest fan of. This is Bengal Oud. I don't hate it, but I don't love it too much. Does that make sense? I told you it's going to get clickety-clackety here. In fact, I enjoy Arabians more than Bengal Oud. This one, it's just not calling me whatsoever. Nothing exciting about it. It's a bit sour. It's spicy. It's earthy. It's woody. But it doesn't have a nice balance of some sweetness thrown in. It just goes into the sour side. And I appreciated it at first, but I started hating it and not enjoying it. I wanted a little more excitement. It becomes a bit one-dimensional. Let me know if you're a fan of Bengal Oud. Okay, next up is the first fragrance I ever bought from Montale. It's Boisé Vanille, and it's still my OG bottle. Let's see if it sprays. This is from like 2012, 2013. Oh, it still sprays. Boisé Vanille, meaning vanilla with woods. It's been a while since I put my nose on this one. It still smells. So, this is not oud, it's woods. And woods mixed in with vanilla. Vanilla is dry. It's a bit boozy, but this vanilla is not like Guerlain's vanilla spirituous double vanille. It's a different kind of vanilla. And to me, it doesn't smell like a lot of the vanillas as of late. The vanilla in this is not like uber sticky, sugary, caramelly sweet. This is a bit more of a unsweetened vanilla. Or maybe it's the woody notes, the boisé notes in here that are making the vanilla not so sweet. But if you like the idea of woods and vanilla together, but not necessarily going into a gourmand direction, try Boisé Vanille. I think it should satisfy. I think this still is selling. I think a lot of these should be selling. The discounters are chock full of them. I have them linked. Check them out. Let's move on to one of the OG bottles of mine. This is Black Oud. Probably also one of the more popular ones from this house. I think at one time it was really popular when the Rose Oud thing was really hyped. Definitely one of the best Rose Oud combos for me. And the reason I like this one a lot is because not only rose, it's not only oud, it's also patchouli. I love this note. And for me, it adds a super sexy layer to the combination of the oud and the rose. This is not a funky oud. It is your kind of westernized oud and crossed with a little bit of a Middle Eastern oud, but not animalic whatsoever. It's very wearable. It's on the dry side, not juicy, jammy, but super, super awesome fragrance. I think it's definitely one of their best. And definitely if you're looking for a Rose Oud combo. You're fairly new. You've just come across the Rose Oud thing. People are, you know, that you're connected with are talking about Rose Oud this and Rose Oud that. Try this one. I think the patchouli gives it an awesome edge. Look at my bottle, by the way. The patchouli gives it an awesome edge and makes it a lot sexier. I absolutely love patchouli, and you guys know this. Really love it. Anytime I see it in fragrances, it just makes the fragrances sexier. That's a really sexy fragrance. Super awesome. I don't know why, for the first time, I'm also reminded of a little bit of Noir de Noir by Tom Ford. I don't know. I've never gotten that before from Black Oud. Why is that? Okay, this next one's probably a lesser known one. This is CHYPRE FRUITE. So basically, it's a CHYPRE style with fruits, a fruity CHYPRE. And what is a CHYPRE style? It's a popular style of fragrance, very popular in the 70s, I believe, in the 80s. It is bergamot, labdanum, oak moss. And also, there's the addition of rose and patchouli as well. Lately, rose patchouli CHYPREs were a lot popular. Fragrances like Gris Dior, Eau Capitale, Noir de Noir is another one. So this one to me it's a fun fragrance. I feel like it's missing the oomph of Montale fragrances. It's a bit unexciting. So the fruits are a bit on the tropical side as well, but not very substantial fruits. And I don't get much of a CHYPRE effect with this one. Even on skin, I don't. For a great fruity CHYPRE, I remember the fragrance from Parlez-moi de Parfum called CHYPRE Mojo. And I believe that combined the CHYPRE style with mangoes, which is a really awesome fragrance. It was also overdosed with patchouli. Like, it's a very modern patchouli. This CHYPRE FRUITE came out in 2009. Doesn't give me CHYPRE vibes. So that's a bit of a dud. It's a bit plasticky fruity, almost like waxy fruity. At one time I liked it a lot, but now that I'm smelling it, unless it's turned, which I don't think it should, because in this studio, it's always kept cool. I don't think it's turned. It's just not smelling as great as I remember it smelling. Bit of a dud. So I've been forgetting to tell you the years these fragrances were launched. I'll start telling you now, but the dates should be in the info box. This next one's a fragrance called DALLACHAI. It's a fairly new one from 2024. I don't know what the Dalla means. Chai, obviously referring to chai that we drink. It's not spraying very well. Ooh. It's super spicy for sure. And I'm getting the chai theme here. I feel like there's cardamom here for sure. There's cinnamon and cloves and these kind of warm spices, but I'm also getting something green, like green herbs. There's a fruitiness in here. That one actually is going to be great on skin. I've worn it just once. It's a fairly new one. I'm going to put it on actually. My bottle's not spraying very well. Ooh, on skin. Ooh, wow. On skin, it's a bit creamier. So it's almost like a chai tea latte. It's more gourmand on skin. How interesting. Very creamy. Rich. Almost like thickened cream. A bit caramelly. Ooh, that's good. That's really good, actually. Have you guys tried DALLACHAI? Let me know. All right, next we've got dark vanilla for a very masculine take on vanilla. If you are a man, you don't like vanilla, you consider it feminine, try this one. I think it's definitely more on the masculine side. In fact, I believe it's a bit animalic as well, from what I remember. Oh yeah. It's for sure dark and smoky. and leathery, but that's great vanilla for sure. It's sweet, but not overly sweet. It's a bit smoky. It's a bit chocolatey caramelly, but again, it's not uber gourmand, but it's sweet. You definitely notice the vanilla, but it is on the dark side. I think it's appropriately named. Yeah, I think that should satisfy someone looking for something a little, yeah, not necessarily full-on gourmand take on vanilla, a darker take on vanilla, a bit smoky, leathery. Have you guys tried dark vanilla? What do you guys think of the Montale bottles also? Their bottles, clickety. Yeah, let me know the bottles. What do you guys think about them? But let's move on to Fougere Marine. So this, like the CHYPRE Fruite, and the Fougere Marine, they're kind of traditional styles of perfumery gone in different directions, whereas the CHYPRE goes into a fruity direction, the Fougere goes into a marine direction. I remember liking this one, not loving it as one of the best from this house, but totally wearable if you like a marine effect with your favorite lavendery Fougere fragrance. Still smells pretty decent. Again, it's not my all-time favorite from this house because it does have a marine presence, but it's more of a bit of a sea breeze rather than swimming with the fish kind of a thing, you know? And I feel like it's a nice balance of the aromatic herbs that are traditionally in Fougeres, but I'm almost like, I can get a light hint of lavender. It's almost like it's nondescript aromatic herbs rather than really noticeable lavender. Like for example, in Aoud Lavender, I really noticed the lavender. It totally stood out. I can tell it's lavender. It reminded me of Beau de Jour lavender. It reminded me of Caron lavender. Even it reminds me of Houbigant's Fougere Royale lavender. Here, it's a bit nondescript. It's almost like there's no lavender. It's some kind of an herbal thing, but lightly you can smell the lavender, if that makes sense. Anyway, that's Fougere Marine. I actually like this a little more than the CHYPRE Fruite, but then it's a matter of taste, whatever you like. So this is one of my early bottles of Montale fragrances. It's full incense. I had bought this one as an alternative to Comme des Garçons Avignon, and also a beefier take on it, which is exactly what it was. It smells like church, and it's really alive, very spicy, incensey, smoky, resinous ambery, but there's also sweetness there and also aromatics. A really wonderful offering, I think. This actually makes me excited about incense fragrances. I've been really bored with incense. That's why I like the incense to be mixed with something sweet. I actually have a video on the channel of sweet incense fragrances. And so I did that video because I love those kind of fragrances. It's not all incense and resins that doesn't have something a little different about them, you know? I got bored of incense. This is actually quite exciting. It's a beefy take on incense. It's quite spicy, smoky, and peppery as well. Peppery. Because pepper and incense kind of have similarities to me, smell-wise. But if you want something sweet, definitely check out that video of sweet incense fragrances. There's a lot of great sweet incense fragrances out there now that I think should satisfy if you're in the market for something like that. But the next fragrance is Honey Oud. I have a video on the channel comparing this to Honey Oud, spelled differently, to Honey Oud Floris. So Montale spells it A-O-U-D, as you can see. And the Floris spells it O-U-D. But then again, Montale also spells fragrances with O-U-D. It's a bit confusing, isn't it? So what I like about Honey Oud, even though I prefer the Floris more than this, the cinnamon is so strong in this, which is what I like. I love cinnamon. And the oud in here is also really intense in your face. But to me, it's less honeyed in comparison to the Honey Oud from the Floris brand. It's not as syrupy here. It's more syrupy there. That one also has rose. I don't think this is having a rose presence. It's basically a lot of cinnamon with a slight honeyed gooiness with a lot of oud. And the oud reminds me of the oud in something like Tom Ford's Oud Wood, but a lot more potent. Actually, it's smelling quite good today. Even though I still prefer Honey Oud from Floris, I think this is pretty solid. The cinnamon is totally standing out for me today, which is quite interesting. Okay, next we've got Intense Black Oud. So the OG was Black Oud, and obviously, as with that video I did the other day of fragrances that need flankers, obviously Black Oud is popular, so what do? They make a flanker of it. So they intensify it. Some people say this is not as intense as the OG. I think it's really intense. Everything is a lot deeper. It smells pretty similar to the OG, but I feel like the oud has been amplified and intensified, and it's also thickened. There's a denseness about it in comparison to the original. But once you get past that, it's fairly the same scent. But again, the oud is not a funky oud, but there is that kind of funky quality that's present in oud. It's a bit moldy, fermented, aged kind of a smell in oud, but doesn't get animalic whatsoever. But that is Intense Black Oud. And then we've got my favorite fragrance of the collection, Intense Café. I've moved on to the Ristretto version because it's a bit more coffee there, but I wore so much of this. And you know what? I turned on this fragrance to so many people, so many people. I've had, before I moved into the studio at the house, I used to have sniffing parties or smelling parties, and people would come and, experience fragrances that they've never experienced before. Because a lot of my friends never were into fragrances. They liked wearing them, but they weren't deep into the fragrances. They'd be like, wow, I've never smelled anything like that. It's so good. And this is one that a lot of people really fell in love with. I think it's rose, but there's something comforting about it. That whole milkiness. I think that's what sells people, because it gives you this very cozy effect. But it's rose, it's amber, it's musky, it's milky. Is there any coffee in it though? It's called Intense Café. So there's a coffee effect in here, but I don't get the coffee. I mean, it's almost like made to be like a fake coffee effect. But I'm a coffee drinker. I don't get like real coffee grounds. But that's why they launched the Ristretto. Are you guys familiar with the Ristretto Intense Café? So if you like Intense Café, but you think it's missing or lacking coffee, go with the Ristretto Intense Café, because they actually added more coffee. A Ristretto pull on the espresso machine, which is awesome, by the way. I love Ristretto pulls. Anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit. We've got another dud here. I bought for cherry-themed videos, but really didn't care for it. Intense Cherry. So I can't remember if Mancera's cherry or this is the cherry I didn't like the most. Because I know the Mancera I don't care for at all. I think it's one of the worst cherry fragrances. I don't get it at all. This one's not as bad as the other one, I think. But still, it's like there's no cherry here. So that's probably a good thing for someone that's looking for a slight cherryness with some synthetic amber woody, base notes or something. But I'm not getting cherry much with this at all. This is like, what is it like? maraschino cherry liquid that's the cherries are in. So the liquid is not as sweet and fruity. That's what I'm getting. Like, it's almost like a afterthought kind of a thing with the cherry. There might even be some rose in this, because I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a rose, which is obvious because Montale and Mancera use a lot of rose. It's a Middle Eastern kind of themed brand, even though they're based out of France. Anyway, it's not my favorite. Let me know if you're a fan of Intense Cherry. Do you guys like this one? Okay, Musk to Musk is a good one. Musk to Musk. Musk to Musk and also Rose's Musk are really great musky fragrances, although I kind of like Rose's Musk a little more. But Musk to Musk is also good. It's almost like musk with oud. It's also like musk that's not animalic. It's like white musk. It's a bit sour. Clean, but it's not one of those fleeting musk fragrances that are skin scents. This is loud. It's quite oudy. There might even be cypriol. It's got a cypriol-y kind of a base, which is what I think is giving me the sour effect. Oud and cypriol kind of go sour if it's not balanced out with other notes too much. It's not the best. I prefer Rose's Musk more than Musk to Musk. Let me know which do you prefer, but it's pleasant. But this next one is one of my favorite Montale fragrances. It was a later discovery, but I'm so happy to have a bottle. It does remind me of distantly things like, what's the name? Something like Mademoiselle from Chanel. There's the Lancôme fragrance, La Vie est Belle, I think. And then a little bit of Angel. This is OUDMAZING. You guys familiar with OUDMAZING? This one is super sexy. It's got figs in the notes. And it doesn't shine as much on the strip as it is on skin. The projection is amazing on that. I love it. Really, really love it. Let me know if you're a fan of it. Do you get the kind of Chanel Mademoiselle? I think it's because it's got patchouli. It's mixed in with this fruitiness of the fig. There's oud in there. Yum. This is so good. Let me know if you're a fan of OUDMAZING. We've got another oud next. It's Oud Tobacco. Remember, I was talking about AOUD and also OUD. I don't know what makes them to decide to use OUD versus AOUD. If you guys know, let me know. Add a comment below. Okay, so I reviewed this one during like 5 years ago, maybe 4 years, 5.5, 6 years ago. This has the note of sumac, which hardly ever gets used in fragrances. It's a spice that got a tanginess about it. It's used in the Middle East, mostly in Lebanon, where I'm from. It doesn't give me the idea of sumac as a spice. And it also kind of slightly goes fruity. And I think what they've done with the sumac is maybe it's a synthetic variety of sumac. Because recently we featured a fragrance in one of our mystery boxes called Phoenix Flame from Mabel Orama. She actually had a sumac tincture. It's a spice, but it is tart when you use it. It's mostly used in a lot of dressings for like barbecues and things. It's really yummy, but tangy. Here, I feel like it's not a very exciting fragrance. I think they tried to accomplish something they set out to do that they thought was going to be great, but it didn't turn out to be as good as they thought it was going to be, kind of a thing. I like the idea of it. I just don't think the execution is all that great. So it kind of falls flat for me, but I think it's pleasant. It's oudy, slightly fruity and spicy, but it's not like, wow, that's the best fragrance kind of a thing. Of course, there's tobacco in there as well, but it doesn't really act tobacco-ish for me. This next one's awesome. This is from several years ago. Let's see, what year is this from? 2006. This is Patchouli Leaves. If you like your patchouli chocolate cakey, you got to get this one. It's in the ballpark of something like Reminiscence Patchouli, which I did a video of their redos of their patchouli fragrances. It's got similarities to Psychedelique from Jovoy. It's just exactly like that. It's patchouli, very earthy, mixed with resins and vanillic notes and balsams. That creates that whole chocolate cakey effect, which makes the fragrance like a patchouli balm with some resinous balsamic amber notes. That acts chocolate cakey. It's so delicious. Really, really yummy. That's definitely a solid offering from this house. Oh man, I want to bathe in that. All right, the next one, Red Vetiver. This was also an early discovery for me. This is called Red Vetiver, and it's similarities to Terre de Hermes, but quite beefy take on something like Terre de Hermes. If you like that DNA and you love to find more like it, something beefier, this also is a bit powderier in comparison to Terre de Hermes. But it is a potent variety of Terre de Hermes for sure. I mean, I love the DNA of Terre de Hermes. I love the way it smells, but for some reason, I don't pull for it too much. But here, I'm smelling it again. It's quite delicious. It's intense. There's that reminder of the vetiver in here. It's a bit mineral-y. There's the citruses, or there's zingy citruses there. It's quite spicy. That's good. That's good. Let me know if you've tried Red Vetiver. Let me know if you're a fan of the Terre de Hermes DNA. Okay, now we're on to Ristretto Intense Café. So, Ristretto Intense Café came out in 2019, but Intense Café launched in 2013, so 6 years after. I wore Intense Café for about 6 years, really loved it. But while along the way, there were flankers. There was one from Atelier Cologne called Café Tuberosa, which was my all-time favorite alternative to Intense Café. Really loved it, what they did with that. Rose, tuberose, coffee, and also chocolate. Sadly, it got discontinued. That brand is confusing. I don't know what they're doing. But when this came out, I was still wearing Intense Café. There were a few other fragrances as well. But this one totally reignited my passion for the whole Intense Café DNA. Plus, they made it a lot more coffeeed. So in the end, you got the Intense Café DNA, but you have a little more coffee in Ristretto Intense Café. Plus, for me, it's not as milky, it's drier than Intense Café, if that makes sense. For me, Intense Café is super milky, creamy, lactonic. Here, with Ristretto, it's quite drier, but you got the same amount of rose, a little more coffee, it's ambery, it's dry. A little bit of something ambroxany comes in as well, which kind of reminds me a little bit of Sensual Instinct, a little bit, and also Arabians Tonka. But Ristretto Intense Café is so super sexy. I love it. Really great fragrance. Let me know if you've tried and compared Ristretto Intense Café to Intense Café. Which is your favorite? Add a comment below. Guys, if this is the first time you're tuning into the channel and you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do subscribe to the channel. And also click the bell icon so you'll be notified for future videos. And also, if you haven't given a thumbs up to this video, please do so it'll help with the algorithm. All right, let's move on to the next fragrance. We are talking about Rose's Musk. First time I smelled this was, I think, around 2014 at ZGO Perfumery, and there was an event for Montale there. I really fell in love with it like right away. It's the same rose. The thing with the rose fragrances from this house, the Rose and Roses musk is the same rose that's in Intense Cafe, in Ristretto Intense Cafe. So there's overlap with the roses. And also, there's overlap with the roses in Mancera. They remind me of the same rose. So they must be using the same rose or the same rose accord or whatever. But what I like about this one, it's that rose and the musk together. And together, it's super, super sexy. Rose and musk together, it's a great combination of notes. I really love the way it smells. It's long lasting. It's got great projection and things like that. And it's really a pleasure to wear. If you like rose and you haven't tried Rose's musk, check that out. It's super fine. I haven't been into rose a lot lately. I'm starting to fall in love with it. And now that I'm doing the video and like re-smelling the roses from Montale, I'm like excited to wear rose again for some strange reason. And I think I'm going to pull this one and wear it, Rose's musk. All right, so Rose's musk. And then after that, we've got... Oh, are we almost done? Yeah, we are almost done. We've got Sensual Instinct next. That's this. This is also a really great fragrance from Montale. I think it's also a popular fragrance. I think, though, the one that's been really popular from the comments I get on YouTube seems to be Arabians Tonka. People really go crazy for Arabians Tonka. What do you guys think? But as far as Sensual Instinct goes, this is like Baccarat Rouge. So Sensual Instinct launched... There's another fragrance from Mancera that launched around the same time, which I'm drawing a blank with the name, which Mancera just launched an intense version of it. They do have the Baccarat Rouge vibe for sure. But for me, with Sensual Instinct, I get elements of Intense Cafe in it. The rose is kind of similar. And then the Baccarat Rouge kind of ambroxan musky kind of thing that reminds you of that is here. And for me, this fragrance totally reminds me of what I was saying earlier. I feel like Montale's fragrances are done in parts, and they take that part and combine it with that part and find another part to, do the top heart and base note. So I feel like this is what they're doing with their fragrances, because they do remind me of a lot of other fragrances, a lot of their other fragrances. And it seems like they're pre-made. I don't know, like you go to you get the groceries delivered, not groceries, but like pre-prepped, pre-prepped food that you put together and cook. So there's a little vegetable, a little protein, a little, carbohydrate, and you mix it up and it makes food. I feel like their fragrances are kind of like that, or pre-done like that. They have all these different bases and tops and hearts laying around, and they're like picking and choosing. Because that's how they wear to me. Do you guys get that? But Sensual Instinct, I love it because it reminds me of Baccarat Rouge. It reminds me of Montale. It reminds me of Intense Cafe. It reminds me of the rose in Montale fragrances. And I think it's super sexy. What do you guys think? That's Sensual Instinct. So we have two more fragrances left. We've got Vanilla Cake next. This is super sugary and cakey and also milky lactonic at the same time. It's a full-on tooth-rotting gourmand. Oh, God. Woo. For me, I also get something oud or coffee. There's something rough in there that gives me the idea of oud or coffee. But it's a full-on, in-your-face gourmand. Don't eat this. You're going to have to go to the dentist because it's full-on sweetness. But really, literally like cake with a creamy frosting or topping and a lot of vanilla. All right, last but not least, it's Vetiver Patchouli. And for me, Vetiver Patchouli reminds me, I have a video on the channel for this reminder of this fragrance. It reminds me of Tempo by Diptyque and also Orage by Louis Vuitton. I've heard that Orage has been discontinued. I haven't bought a Louis Vuitton fragrance since Pacific Chill. I did not care for Lovers. I don't know the latest fragrance. Haven't tried the new Sun Song, which I'm going to try the latest fragrance and also Sun Song when I'm in France at the Louis Vuitton boutique. But Vetiver Patchouli reminds me of Orage. And let me know if you guys have heard if Orage has been discontinued. That's a bummer. But this stuff is awesome. It's a great combination of vetiver and patchouli. And sure, yeah, it reminds me of Tempo as well. It's this kind of a greenish take on patchouli. It's not chocolate cakey whatsoever. It's aromatic and spicy, but a greener version of patchouli, which is so awesome. And yeah, it does remind me of Orage, but Orage was a lot fresher. Tempo is a little deeper, but then again here with Montale, it's even further deeper. This stuff is awesome. Really, really great. We started off with sort of a dud. I don't hate it as much as I hate Bengal Oud, but we're ending with an awesome, awesome fragrance from the House of Montale called Vetiver Patchouli. Anyway, let me know if you've tried Vetiver Patchouli. Go catch my comparison video of that with Orage and Tempo. One other thing I should say, vetiver and patchouli is an awesome combination. I love vetiver, but I'm a bit bored of it. But there's a fragrance by the House of Jovoy called Incident Diplomatique. Doesn't smell like Montale's vetiver patchouli. It's its own thing. But a great combination of patchouli and vetiver together with some light citruses. Awesome, awesome fragrance. I recently re-smelled it. It's been a while and I love it. And that one garnered me compliments. People have stopped me on the street, crossing streets, saying what I'm wearing and things like that. It's a great fragrance. It's a great combination. And I love what patchouli does to fragrances. To notes like the vetiver and patchouli. Really awesome stuff. Anyway, that's all I have for you here for the Montale fragrances. I'm sorry I don't have more, but for me, it's almost like going to a restaurant, you get this big, thick menu with page after page. It's kind of like that with Montale. Way too many fragrances. I get lost and I don't want to tackle with it. Once in a while, I hear something that's cool or sounds great, I'll look it up. But when I walk into a Montale boutique or like the one in Paris, the Montale Mancera, it's so overwhelming in there. Not only by the fragrances, they have like 12,000 employees there, like asking you what. So it's a bit overwhelming all together. But, I have my favorites here. But let me know what's missing, what's out there that I did not talk about that you really enjoy. Do let me know, add a comment below. And do you enjoy any of the ones I spoke about here? Which is your favorite? Do add a comment. I'd like to find out. But thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. And don't forget to let me know what long-form deep dive video you want me to do next. Do let me know by adding a comment. See you later. Bye-bye.